when we're wanting to be a millionaire, it's not 1 million. We're wanting multiple millions because you can't live on 1 million in your lifetime. It's just not possible.
Welcome to the Big Money Influencers Podcast. We talk with top influencers and experts to help you navigate and prosper in your business. It's all about creating wealth, legacy, and an online presence. Here's your host, Ceanne Livingston.
Today I'm talking to Shannon Vaut. I'm really excited to have her. She has some amazing nuggets to drop. The other day I was talking to you about making a decision and sticking to it. You kind of dropped a bomb about how so many people want to be millionaires and they speak that into their life and they make that a goal. You dropped a bomb about what that really meant and how that can really be keeping people stuck.
Well, first off, thank you for having me. It's an honor. We're just having a candid conversation. What I had been shown a few years back is that I had been speaking over my life, wanted to be a millionaire. Like in my lifetime, I want to be a millionaire. I go on this little rabbit trail of trying to discover what does that really look like? Like if you're to set goals, and you have like, say there's a map of, okay, this is my end goal is to become a millionaire. What do I have to do to get there? So I went on this little scavenger hunt and I went into Google and literally just put in the search, like on my phone, what qualifies someone to be a millionaire? It talks about net worth, but when I searched at this particular time, it said that if someone has made $1 million between the time they started working and their time of retirement, that makes them a millionaire. And I was like, that would be almost everyone. So I actually pulled out a calculator and I did the math. And this is what I discovered. If you started working at the age of 20, which we all know most of us start working way before we're 20, unless you're blessed and your parents sent you off to college and paid for everything for you. You just literally lived a different lifestyle than the majority of us. We started earlier than 20. But if you started at 20 and you actually retired at age 65, all you have to make each year to qualify as making $1 million in your lifetime is $21,276 in a year. And when I saw that, I thought, wait, that's poverty status. I don't know what the average size family is these days. Is it a mom and a dad and 2 kids? I don't know. But say if you have a family of 4, you cannot live on $21,000 a year. Like you will be broke. Can you even afford a house? I don't know. But that number just blew my mind because then I broke it down even further. We did this yesterday, like as we were talking, and that's $1,773.05 a month or $443 a week an hour is all you have to make,
That's
which
crazy.
is insane, right? It's just a mindset shift. Like how many times have you been speaking that into your life? Like, I want to be a millionaire. And it's actually, that's what you have. You have exactly what you're asking for. Probably been, 6-8 months ago, God really started speaking to me. And I share God speaking to me because that's God speaks to me and I hear him. When I say that, that's what I'm referring to. But God speaks to me. God started speaking to me about proclaiming being a trillionaire. And I was like, a trillionaire? Like, why am I doing this? But all this revelation just really opened my eyes to kind of stepping outside of what society says is success. Because when society says a millionaire is successful, like that is not what I want. I don't want to make $11 an hour and be satisfied with that because I can't even live on that. That's what kind of brought us to, even the title came up from you saying living the millionaire lifestyle, because it's not what it looks like. I just encourage you to take some time to stop and think about what are you speaking that you're asking for and what does that really mean? What does that really look like? Because it might not be what you think. So yesterday I pulled out my calculator and you can't put anything over, like my calculator only would go to 100 million. That's as many zeros as it would let me put. So I put in 100 million and did this same math. And if you made $100 million in your lifetime, that actually comes out to 2.1 million per year. And I was like, see, that's getting closer to what we ask for when we're wanting to be a millionaire. It's not 1 million. We're wanting multiple millions because you can't live on 1 million in your lifetime. It's just not possible. That was it.
That's awesome. That's life-changing. That's a mic drop. That is a huge, huge gold nugget that you just dropped. Revelation from God for sure. We're talking about MLMs. You kind of shared about picking a lane. You kind of shared the story that was totally amazing how God transferred wealth. God transfers wealth from the wicked to his people to meet his glory, to do his service, to love on people.
I wish I knew what verse that came from, but the gist of it is God is saying that those people that he can entrust with his resources is who he's going to hand them to so that they can do the job that he has sent them to do. Because if you are the type of person that you're given money and you're using it to squander it away on things that aren't really helping anyone else, or it's all about your benefit, God's not going to hand you his riches and want you to step out and do something because he knows that you can't handle it. God had just been talking to me about that. And he had been talking to me because a lot of things in my life had been stolen from me by these people that the Bible would qualify as wicked, because they're lying and cheating and stealing to get their riches that they're searching for, because it's because they don't trust God to provide. So they're going out and they're working so much that they're not there for their families. They're not there for their spouses, because they have this dream in their heart to become multimillionaires. And the only way they know how to do it is in their own timing, their own effort, instead of partnering with God. In this season, God had just been talking to me about, I am about to transfer the wealth of the wicked, those people that aren't partnering with heaven, to the righteous people that are sitting at my feet and waiting for me to provide for them. They're trusting that I'm going to provide. They're waking up and saying, God, this is not my will, but yours. And I'm going to rest and focus on what's important, which is you and my family. And I'm going to trust you to open the doors to provide food, shelter, money, whatever it is. God provides in a lot of different ways. It isn't always cash. Sometimes it's resources. That's what had been going on. And I had stepped into an opportunity that God gave me through an MLM, which my background, I've been in MLMs for over 20 years. And I said I would never do another one. Like, no, not doing it. There's too many people involved in that industry that are doing things in very, very shady ways to manipulate the system so that they're making lots of money. And the last company I was with was literally shut down by the FTC because some of the people at the top were manipulating things. Everyone it literally was closed down. No more MLM for this company because it was shady. When this opportunity presented itself, I said, no, I am not doing this. And God said, I really want you to pay attention because I'm doing something different here. And I was like, my heart is to pioneer something different. I want to see that industry completely flipped on its head and changed, because it's one of the quickest ways for people to gain monetary success so that they can actually go out and sow into the things that God put on their heart. It's like, okay, if this is you, God, I'm going to trust you and I'm going to say yes, but you have to make it crystal clear that this is you. He did through several different things. Right after I stepped into this, and it was in the beta phase, like this company had not even launched yet, was not even in the MLM space. The woman was taking her company from retail sales into social selling. We went through like a 6-month waiting period it was like beta testing. And then when we actually launched, right before we launched, we started a prayer team. And the prayer team, God just told me, I want you to facilitate this. And I just want you to sit at my feet and I'm going to give you some pieces and a blueprint. And I was like, okay, this is incredible. From the time, it was February 22nd of 2020 is when we launched the prayer team. And from that time until about a month ago, so we actually launched on April 27th. Through that whole time frame, I wasn't doing much business at all. I was sitting at his feet and I was praying. And this is when he started telling me, I'm going to transfer from the wicked to the righteous. And I was like, what does this even mean? Like, I don't know what that means. God says a lot of things in riddles and rhymes. And you're like, what are you talking about? Until you actually see what he does, it doesn't make sense because he does not think the way we do. Like his ways are not our ways. Fast forward about a month ago, it was just a series of events that happened. I have a team, and my team, most of them were under one leg. Because if you're familiar with MLMs, there's legs, right? You have like all these different legs and then they grow. And so I have one leg that's like this power leg. Huge. It's a huge team, over 100 people, and they're doing fantastic. The couple that was directly under me, decides to leave this company because she wanted to pursue something else. And she had been pursuing something else side by side with this. And the other one just was way further along because it wasn't in this beta pioneering stage. The other company's been around for several years. So she just had more success there. So she said, you know what? I'm not going to do this one anymore. I'm going to go with this one. And the moment that they signed, her and her husband signed off and said, goodbye, everything transferred to me, the entire team. And so it blows my mind because the whole time God had been saying, just wait, sit at my feet, don't grind, don't do this the old MLM way. Like, and I tried a few times. There were a few times that I was like, ooh, I think I should try that, because all these other people were doing stuff and they're having success. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it God's way, but I'm still using the same framework as old school MLM. And I would try it and I was frustrated and had no results. And I'm like, God, okay, I know you told me not to do it this way, but I don't know. I thought, well, maybe I can do it and just be kingdom in the process of doing it. And he was like, no, I told you, I'm flipping it on its head. That means nothing's going to look the same. So don't even try. Don't waste your time. So when this whole the transference thing took place, I was like, whoa, like what just happened? Like God did what he said he was going to do. He proved himself truthful and that his promises can be trusted. Now it took a while to get there, because he was telling me this in the beginning and I didn't see it, but he made it happen. And when that happened, the paychecks increased. It makes me go, wait a second, like our mindsets are so messed up with thinking that if I get up every morning and I work 10 hours a day focused on this business, I'm going to have whatever that number is in my head, a $5,000 paycheck a month. It doesn't work that way. That's not how God works. That's not how his kingdom works. That's just really where I've been over the past 2 years of just processing with God and listening to his voice, letting him lead the way, which is where these bombs are dropped. Like, do you really want to be a millionaire, or do you want to partner with me and have it like the sky's the limit? And I'm like, yeah. That's what I want, because I want to make a difference. I want to, be able to, we have COVID going on, right? Like our world is turned upside down anyway. When I hear there's a need, I want to be able to have the resources, whatever that may be, if it's food or shelter or someone needs their rent paid. I want to have the resources to go out and say, you know what, I will take care of that for you. And I don't have to go look at my bank account and say, oh my gosh, God, do I have enough money to budget this? Because it's just there. He just provided it because he knows that I am going to be true to what he says and follow through when he says, hey, I'm laying this person at your feet, take care of them for me. That's my heart. If that's you, if you find yourself really in a place where you're like, I know God's wanting to use me, start listening. Just get at his feet and sit and listen, because he's talking. We just have the noise of the world in our ear, and it's so loud and his voice is so quiet that it's really hard to decipher what he's trying to say when you're listening to, for instance, if you're listening to the news. It's hard to know what is really true if you're hearing stuff that's coming in that's just noise that's trying to pull you in another direction. So that's kind of where I've been for the past, few years of God just really showing me he can do some pretty incredible things if I will just get out of my own way and, stop thinking I know as much as I do, because I really don't know anything.
That's really good. Definitely a secret to building wealth is caring about people, serving people. I've had this conversation with speakers on the summit. Many of them are sharing that. It's just when I came to a place in my life, when I made the switch about money to being able to serve people, is when the money started flowing and I started creating wealth and legacy and being in my heart, coming from my heart and my passion and my purpose. That's such an amazing story. The other thing that we talked about, going back to, I believe it was the couple that walked out of your MLM, and before they made that decision, and this is so much of a decision or so much of a thing that gets people stuck in MLMs and gives them a bad name. But it's often it's not the company, because outside of a few companies, pretty much if you choose a path and you believe in the product and you stay the path, there's a good chance you're going to succeed. And that's where the difference is. It's I've been a part of several different MLMs. One of them I was really successful in. I really believed in it. I loved it. I was able to share it with everybody. But you share the story about the people that walked away. What caused them not to be successful in your MLM?
Well, they actively were pursuing another one, because you really can't it's hard to do two things at once. You can't be running one. And both the companies were very similar in their product lines. It was all about health and wellness. The companies being so similar, they just picked one and she ran with it. And so she was successful in that one. I totally believe if she had picked this one and ran with it, it would have been the same thing. But what you focus on is what is going to grow. But what's really interesting, through this whole journey of just sitting at Jesus's feet and just asking him to show me how to do this different. One of the things he showed me, why the difference between people being successful and not successful in MLMs is because, one, they have to know who they are. If you don't know who you are and you come into an MLM, you are going to fall for anything, because you're looking to people to show you the way instead of listening to what you're supposed to be doing. Like, for instance, if you have someone come in and say you come into an MLM, and some people come into MLMs because they're looking to make money. Some people come in because they want time freedom. Like, there's a lot of different reasons. So say, for instance, we'll just use the example, like you're coming into MLM because you want, I'm trying to think of the best example to use. Say you use the product and it was incredible. And you're like, this product is amazing. I love sharing products that I believe in with my friends and family. And so you come in and your upline says, okay, this is how you're going to do things. You need to start prospecting everyone from the business side of things. And you're like, okay. And you don't know any different. So you start trying to prospect people based on, hey, I want you to join my organization because this is what we're doing. Well, that's not why you were there. So you're already out of alignment with what brought you in and got you excited about it. So this happens all the time with people. Instead of staying focused on like, hey, this one product is incredible and it changed my life, because that's what brought you in. So that's where your passion's going to be. Your passion is not going to be on the other side of bringing in people that are going to sell with you, because that's not where you were. It creates this misalignment right from the beginning. And then people are stuck. They don't know what to do. They get frustrated because they have zero success, because that's not where they were supposed to be leading from. And they give up. And that's why MLMs end up getting a bad name, because what God's been showing me is that you have to come in and have your heart healed and your mindset right. And then he's going to show you, okay, let me show you why you're here. Let me show you where you have favor, and then you lead from that place. And it's like, it literally opens up so many doors and opportunities because it's natural. Like, it comes naturally. You're not having to force anything. You're not having to memorize. Like, say you came in because of the business opportunity, because you're a stay-at-home mom or a single mom and you need money. Like, if you're out trying to sell a product and it's not working, you're frustrated, you're broke. And then you do nothing and you give up and you move on. And it's like MLM after MLM because, well, that one didn't work. Well, it had nothing to do with the one you were in. You have to know who you are and who God created you to be, so that when these things come up and other people are doing things in that way, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, that's not the way I'm supposed to do it. Like, that's not me. That's not how I was created. That's just one of the big things he's been showing me that's so important for people anytime they get into any kind of business. Like, if it's not aligned with your passions and your desires and your giftings, you are going to be miserable and you're going to fail miserably in the process, because that's not where you're supposed to be.
That's so true. I know that's why so many businesses fail. We work on our messaging of who we want to work with and our who and our niche. There's total purpose in that. And if you can't figure that out and you launch your business without those answers, just be all over the place, chasing every shiny object.
Well, and you said you've been with several MLMs. So can you look back and see how that may have been why you didn't succeed at some of them and other ones you did?
Definitely. I think some of it was maybe because I felt pressured.
Learn the secrets entrepreneurs can use to create wealth and legacy. Discover exactly how the top 1% are building financial success, wealth, and a legacy quickly in their business. These are the only secrets you need to create wealth and legacy when it comes to building your online presence. When you visit bigmoneyinfluencerlive.com, you will get free access to the exclusive Big Money Influencers Live business kit. It teaches proven secret strategies that successful entrepreneurs are using daily to create wealth and legacy in their business. Foolproof methods established business owners are using to live and build wealth and legacy. We know you're busy, so we have convenient audios, which include foolproof methods established business owners use to build wealth and legacy. Easy to follow binder notes. And if you're ready to 10x your online presence or ready to take your business online, you can book a call and discover how to get started. Visit bigmoneyinfluencerlive.com. That's bigmoneyinfluencerlive.com.
Well, and you said you've been with several MLMs. So can you look back and see how that may have been why you didn't succeed at some of them and other ones you did?
Definitely. I think some of it was maybe because I felt pressured. A lot of the times I would get into an MLM because I wanted to do the business and I was focusing on the money and not really having a relationship with the product. When I look at an MLM, I'm looking at probably three things. I'm looking at, number one, coaching, because I've been in such a personal space of personal development for so long, I'm really picky about the coaches that I pick because I've been in MLMs when they haven't been able to coach me, not because I'm not coachable, just because they're just not coaching or they're not up to date on their media, the social media and the different, space. So those are things that I look at. And then of course, being a part of the team, being congruent to who I am, where we're going. And that's important too, because you're building relationships with these people that you're like on team calls and they're part of your life. And then loving the product. I've had a few, probably 2 companies that I really, enjoyed. And they were both in fitness and health and fitness. Good tasting shakes on both of them, good teams. And it was passionate. I was having fun in the process too. I remember one of my favorite things, and I'm going to date myself, back in the early 90s when I joined Amway. That was my first MLM experience. I remember my downline or my upline giving me a box of cassette tapes. I listened to those things every day, and it was motivational. I couldn't really care about the products. I had the catalog, and I was like buying like kitchenware and buying products for my own home and going to some conferences, but it was the personal development, kind of like AA on the tape.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them had come from an AA space. I don't do AA. The personal development was so key. I learned that early. If they can empower and grow you as a person, I'm just not that interested.
It's interesting because you think about, you have a full-time, is that the norm? Like that people work full-time W-2 jobs? I don't even know. I think nowadays probably not, but I don't know. I haven't done a study on it. I don't know if any studies have been done, but when you think about that, it's like, how many of those jobs have that piece, the personal development? Not many of them. I mean, there are a few corporations that do have that opportunity, and those are probably the ones that are ranked the highest companies to work for. It is something that's important because if we are the people, like God creates us to keep growing and learning, like we're constantly growing and learning because we're constantly changing. If you're still the same as you were 10 years ago, something's wrong, like something's off. And then what are you? Just a puppet, just kind of going through life like someone else is just controlling everything you do. Like you go to work at 8 o'clock and you get off at 5 o'clock and you just like the same mundane stuff and you're not growing. Like, I can't even imagine that because I'm like you, like I want to be learning. And I mean, I think I am like a forever student. I've always been that way. Like I'm one of those that I could be in college forever, just getting degree after degree. For what purpose? Nothing other than just growing myself. Not that I would ever use any of them. Like, oh, I have a degree in this and that. And what are you doing with it? Nothing. I love to be learning and constantly upping the game for myself. How can I get better? How can I improve? How can I be smarter in the way I do things, more efficient in the way I do things? It's just super important. So I think it's interesting that you say that because I have to say, like every MLM I've been in, the thing I was always looking for is a product that I believed in. Because I always said, even before people started doing affiliate stuff, I was like, man, if Target had an affiliate, I would be a millionaire already, like 10 times over. Because every time I walk in that store, I walk out with stuff I did not plan on buying. I don't know why. Like there have been maybe a handful of times I walked in and bought what I actually planned on going in for and nothing else. Every single time, because they're so good at their products. One, are amazing. Like everything I've ever bought at Target, I don't know why. It's just it's quality. It's not going to fall apart on me. If I've spent money on it, it usually lasts. Now, if it was $1 in that little section when you walk in, that just is like eye candy, that kind of stuff, that's not meant to last anyway. It costs you $1. But there's something about the way that they do things that just, I go in and I find all kinds of goodies that I didn't even know I needed for my home or just whatever. It's just silly. I'm like, man, when I find a product that I can get behind and I support, I can sell it to anyone. So that's always what would entice me is that, oh, hey, in this season of my life, I'm actually needing energy. That's how I got into the last company I was in. I'm like, I'm exhausted every morning when I get up. My kids are just, they have so much energy and I have zero. I'm zapped by 10 a.m. I need something to wake me up and keep me going so I can keep up with my toddlers who are wearing me out. And that's what got me in the last one, that I drank it and I was like, this stuff is incredible. And I know lots of moms that could use this. So that's why I stepped into it. That's for me. So it's interesting listening to like another side of where it's all about like, hey, what's the training look like? That's the stuff that you were soaking up. And I remember those, I didn't have tapes, but we had the CDs that you would pop in when you're in the car and you're listening to, is it the CEO or whoever that's just giving you this motivational, like 2-minute pep talk every single day, you know?
For me, it's the product is a mechanism. It has to be a really good mechanism to be able to share it, the experience that you're bringing to your person. Target does have an affiliate program, I think.
They do?
I think so.
What? How did I not know this? I haven't gone there. I mean, I go there still, but not like I used to. I'm like, no, I got to stay away from that place. If I don't need it, I'm not going.
Yeah, I think if you go to probably the bottom of
That's awesome.
You can share their products and make a little bit of wealth off of affiliate programs like Target and Home Depot and.
Oh yeah. Are you talking about like when you're online, you can put them on like the side of your page and people click on it and then you make a percentage. Yeah.
I like the Amazon thing. I mean, that can be a really good way of creating wealth too. I have, we both know someone in our program that's done really, really well with Amazon. I think he just got another 2 Comma Club award. Yeah. There's lots of different ways to create wealth, but definitely MLM is definitely a good way that a lot of people pursue. And there's a lot of people pursue that path and they don't stick with it because they just don't know themselves. And they get lost in the shuffle. And that's like that in any business. But I know many people that have become millionaires through their business. They're creating months where there's like $5,000 to $10,000 a month, their products and their customers and the MLM. And it's making a difference in their lives. They're able to like go to different countries and build houses and live the dream of not only having the nice luxury house, but being able to help people build wells in different countries and send checks to these little schools. It's really fun. It can be really fun and it can be a great way to create wealth.
Well, and I feel like I should share too, because we were talking about like the title of this was Living the Millionaire Lifestyle, right? I was talking about, just God speaking to me, but in the Bible, there is a verse that I found in the midst of like, we're both in this entrepreneur group. That's where we met. There's a lot of things I've learned there, but there was one thing that this was always very interesting to me because the guy that's leading that thing would always talk about you cannot do more than one thing at a time. And that never set well with me because I was like, and I didn't know why. I felt like this isn't right. Like you can do more than one thing. Now, obviously you can't build them all at the same time because you're pulled in several different directions, which I think is exactly what he was talking about. But when people hear it, you hear, oh, you can only do one thing. So people get stuck on thinking, well, this is my thing. And they just try and fail. And they're like, but I can't do anything else. Through that process, God really started telling me, like, you have to have multiple streams of income because tomorrow is not guaranteed. You don't know what's going to happen. The market is constantly changing. So what works today may not work tomorrow. Right. Like if we were all stuck in the way that Amway was doing things back in the day, it wouldn't even exist anymore. It would have been, it's like a dinosaur, right? It's just obsolete because there's other things that came up and took over. So they had to constantly like revamp themselves. Through this process, I was like, okay, God, if there is another way, like you have to show me, like I need to know that what I'm feeling, because I didn't really have any factual anything to back it up. I just felt like it was off. Literally like picked up my Bible one day and I'm just flipping through stuff and I come across this verse that says, and I don't know exactly the way it's worded, but it says something about having 7 streams of income and an 8th. And I was like, wait, what? First of all, 7 streams of income, that's a lot of streams of income, right? And then it says, and add an 8th. And I was like, wait, why would he say and add an 8th instead of just saying have 8 streams of income? And I still am sitting on that one because it doesn't make sense to me. He hasn't given me revelation on that yet, but it's like, what is the purpose of having so many streams of income? And it's not something most people talk about because we're so busy doing all the things. And for me, it's like, God keeps talking to me about expectancy. Like, be expectant that I'm about to give you something new that you can do. And it might just be for a season. It may not be for your lifetime, but it might be that I open the door for this season so that you can actually do this thing. And I'm going to give you some tools that you're going to be able to take with you in the next season. But that business might not come with you because it might just be that I'm flipping things upside down and it's not going to work anymore. I don't know. That's still one that I camp out on all the time because I'm like, I don't think that's something anybody ever talks about. Like, I don't hear people talking about that. If you work a W-2 job, we both know that nowadays, how many people stay in that job for a lifetime? That's just not normal anymore. Like my grandfather worked for Frito-Lay his entire life. He started there. I think he started when he was like 18, 19 years old. He retired from that company. His whole life was at that same company. There were never any like, oh, younger people are coming in that we can pay less money. They can work more efficiently. No, he started and he ended there. Not normal. That day and age is completely over. If that's the case, what are we doing to make sure that we are providing for our families? And I think the key is trusting and listening to what God is telling you, like being expectant and not being so narrow-minded that you don't even see the opportunity when it's like right in front of you.
Absolutely.
Because even in MLM, what if God opens a door and says, hey, I want you to do this MLM, not because I'm going to make you wealthy through it, but because I've given you something that you carry that's going to be a gift to other people. And I'm going to provide some stuff for you in the process, because in giving, you're going to receive from me. Like that's the way the kingdom works.
Mm-hmm.
You give, and there's just this, I don't even know what it's called. I can't even think of the right words, but there's something that happens where it's like, if you trust God and you give of yourself, he gives back. Like it's a reward that you get for doing what he's asking you to do, and actually doing it for free. Who does that? That's not normal. Most people want some kind of reward before they do it, if that's a paycheck or whatever it is.
That principle also comes from the tithing principle. God says, test me on this.
Mm-hmm.
Give your 10% to help the community, or to me, it's bring the riches back in the storehouse.
Yeah.
Trust me on this and I will pour back into you. Definitely. So I'm not sure if you were referring to that or to another. Well,
I'm sure it's the same principle. You know, I mean, I feel like it's in more places than just tithing in the Bible. Like when you're just giving sacrificially, like there's sacrificial giving, that there's a reward for that. Not that you're doing it because you're getting a reward, but there will be a reward that comes however God decides to do that. If it's through relationships or finances, what's the definition of wealth really? Because you can be wealthy in your relationships and be broke and still be happy. Like there's just a lot of different ways that you can look at wealth, and it's not just about money. Living that millionaire lifestyle, what does that really look like? Funny, because like with our children, what I'm thinking, like what was highlighted to me, one of our kids is 14. He's a boy. We've had this conversation about, he'll see people out and he's like, oh, that person must be rich. And I'm like, why do you think that? And he's like, well, they drive this fancy car and they have a fancy house and they have, like all these things. Because in his mind as a 14-year-old boy, material things are the stat. Like that's the definition of wealthy, right? And so we were having this conversation one day and I was like, I happened to see someone, just walking around. And I was like, what about that guy? Do you think that guy's rich? And he's like, no way. I'm like, why not? And he's like, look what he's wearing. And the guy was not dressed like a bum. He was just wearing like normal clothes, just a normal person. And I was like, what's funny is I actually know some people that are millionaires, like not that they made $1 million in their lifetime, but they probably have a net worth of $1 million. Like every year they're making $1 million. And you would never know that they made that kind of money. Like one of them drives a pickup truck that's so old, but he loves old things. So it's like, that's what he does. And you would never know that he has millions of dollars sitting in his bank account by looking at him. How many of us in this world have gotten in that mindset that you look at the person like your neighbor or, whoever, and their status looks like millionaire status, but in reality, they're living on credit cards and like stuff that they're literally in bondage and you don't even know it. And I'm like, that's not the kind of life we want. Like, I don't want to be in bondage to a debtor, or I have a house payment where I can't afford anything else because I'm like literally like my house is taking up all the money coming in. Like, that's just dumb. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's what reality is for a lot of people, because they're trying to keep up with what the world is saying is like that lifestyle. It's so upside down in the kingdom. And what's really funny to me is that I don't know if you've ever heard of, like, there's a lot of, I don't know if there's pastors, there's all kinds of people that I've heard people talk about. They give 90% of their income and they live on 10. And that's always blown my mind, because I'm like, how much money would you have to make to be able to live on 10% and give away the rest of it? Like, that's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
And so like, when I think about that, I'm like, okay, God, what is that? Like, how does that work? There was one day I was literally just sitting and just asking God these questions and just waiting for answers. Like, what is that? How does that work? And it was that same principle of, I can trust them with the riches. When I know that they're going to give away 90%, I'm going to flood them with all kinds of stuff because they're going to give it all away. And I'm going to give them so much that they can live on 10% comfortably and never have to worry about anything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. Yes, that's where I want to be. I want to give away 90% of what comes in. That's just mind blowing. Who does that? Like, that takes a lot of trust in God to be able to do that, because I know through my lifetime, I've gone through seasons. I don't know if it's like this for you, but like where you're tithing and you're like, okay, this is how much is going out each month. This is how much is coming in. This is what's left over. So I'll tithe 10% of what's left over, right? Because I didn't have enough faith to actually tithe on what was coming in first before subtracting out all of the other things, because I was like, if I do that, then we're in the hole every month. No, it's such a big, it's just mind blowing. Like, there's so many things, so many layers of all of this that just, if you sit and really think about it, it's like, wait, why do I believe what I believe? And why do I do things the way I do things? Is that really what I'm supposed to be doing? Or is God trying to give me an upgrade in my thinking and the rewards that come by partnering with heaven? With that whole transference of wealth, like, he's looking for people that he can trust with his resources, with his people, which, like, when you were talking about, when you're doing a business, it's all about the people, because in the kingdom, the people are what are most important to God. It's not the stuff. It's not money. It's none of that. It's the people. It's their hearts. So if you're going to take care of his people, he's going to take care of you to a higher degree than those that don't. I mean, he's still going to take care of all of us because we're all his children, but it's just a different degree.
I want to swing back to the MLM. I would love to, you've shared so much value. I know anyone that wanted to join your team would have such benefits, and it'd be an amazing space to have business with you. So can you share with me and the audience how to connect with you? Do you mind sharing with us what MLM you are in, how they can join your team? People want to build relationships, and it would be awesome to be on your team. So
the company's actually called MIG, and it's a soap. It's basically soap. And then we have some supplements as well. And the company's been in business for 10 years. In the MLM space, it's been almost a year. If you're interested and you want to hear more, you can always just reach out to me. So my email is psalm91coaching@yahoo.com. That's actually my business name. I do a lot of stuff under that name. That's a whole nother story, but that is it. It's psalm91coaching@yahoo.com.
It's been so exciting talking to you, and you dropped a couple of huge revelations during this call, new revelations that I don't even think I've heard before, that I need to definitely go into my Bible and check out. 8 revenue streams.
And if you get revelation, please share, because I'm still trying to figure out what all that means. The journey. And I would say too, if you've listened to this and you're like, I'm in an MLM, but it's not that one, and I don't want to go into another one, you can always reach out to me too, because I have an odd feeling that the framework that God has given me through this MLM is actually something he's wanting to be able to use for other MLMs, so that people can succeed in any MLM, not just this one, because there's a ton of them out there that are really good. Times are changing. Those things, if they're doing it in the old way, people are getting stuck, and God has new ways. It's just hard to really hear all of that stuff in the midst of, old school thinking and all of that. So if you want to reach out for that purpose, I can actually lead you in the right direction to start doing things in a different way.
That's awesome. That reminds me of, I have Samuel coming on. He's in that space of helping entrepreneurs and MLMs and training and mindset partnering. So that's exciting to continue this conversation with somebody that we both worked with, partnered with.
Yeah. And his little 6-day framework that he has is actually the very first step of the mindset and heart work that I use for my people, because it's incredible. And it's 6 days, and they're 5 minutes each. Like, God can do some incredible stuff if you just stop and listen for 5 minutes. It's really crazy. Like, you don't have to go get a PhD in, personal development. You can do it super fast. It can be accelerated, because who has time for that, right?
Exactly. Well, it was so nice to talk to you today, Shannon.
Thank you.
This has been a wealth of information. Speaking out, really, I want to be a millionaire, and we want to actually say, I want to make $1 million a year, or I want to be a trillionaire.
Thank you.
To discover the secrets entrepreneurs are using to create wealth and legacy, visit bigmoneyinfluencerslive.com. And here's a big ask. If you love this podcast, will you take a minute to subscribe, review, and give us a 5-star rating? Be sure and share with your friends and family. And thank you for listening.